Hey guys, before we get started today, I just had Zoe up here on my chair, and I know how much you guys love her, and so I figure that we would get a really good little say hello before we get started on today's stream. We are going to be doing some missions with a Raven and looking into how to get into missions easily and why people might want to do missions, especially as a newer player. But before I started the stream, I just wanted to show up with this. Also, if you are interested and you are watching this within the first day or so or live, we have been war decked and attacked, so if you want to help out, please reach out. Otherwise, let's get on with the show. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and my puppy is still on my lap, so I figure I might as well show her off a little bit more. It is January 14th, YC128, and this is the Eve Universe Show! Welcome, 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 guys. Uh-oh, I pegged my sound. I hope that wasn't too bad. How's it going, folks? It is Wednesday, my dudes. Hold on, let me pull up a real page. Hey, there we go. Wednesday is good with all the cheap White Storm boosters. That's a good point. You know, now that the event is over, events bring really good boosters, and it's kind of interesting because, like, once the boosters become unobtainable, you would think that that would make them more valuable, but they also expire at a certain point. And so what's interesting is that the value of it is less to do with how available they are and more to do with how much people actually think about using them. And so it is definitely worth paying attention to what boosters are available at any given time, especially the previous event boosters, or active event boosters when there are active events, to you know, get a little edge on things. Yes. Who's a good extirpator? All right. So, yeah, as I said at the very beginning, we are under war, and they have reinforced our structure. We have a few days to get things sorted, but if you're interested in participating, let me know. If you are in the invited, do not leave unless you want to opt out, because the way that war decks work is when you leave the group that is under war deck, you cannot return to that same group for a week, just to make sure that people can't cheese the system too badly. If you are in the Convocation or Malro proper, Malro is immune to war decks, so you are perfectly fine there. There's no threat there. That's in fact, the character that I'm on right now is not under war deck because of this. So just know, if you want to participate, you'll need to either be in the invited or join as an assistant with your corp, and et cetera, et cetera. All right. But today's show, we're going to go into day 2 of missions. Yesterday, we played around with a Dominic's Navy issue. And, you know, it was pretty good. I really wanted to see how that one worked, just because of the fact that the Dominic's Navy was buffed a couple years ago as part of the Uprising expansion. And I think after that too, but the point was that I figured that it'd make a much better mission running ship, and it did do quite well. Although I did go with like a brawly setup, and it is, man, mission rats are a lot more aggressive against drones than even I remember. So we might want to tweak that fit a little bit. We might want to try out the rail sniper dummy version of it, but what I figured would be a good thing to show off today, because, you know, missions are often a good entry place for newer players or solo players that don't necessarily want to join a null block or anything like that, but still want to have a pretty decent way to rat, as it were. You know, that's kind of where missions come in. And when it comes to just dominating missions on a budget, there has never been a ship that has outclassed the Raven. When I first joined the game, this was considered one of the top dogs of, I mean, like, granted, there are pirate ships, there are marauders, you know, there are really high, and in fact, the Raven Navy issue is great too. But as far as, like, if you're just trying to get into it, this is where you go. And actually, let me tell you this right now, especially if you're an alpha, your major target, your first target as a mission runner, if you want to have like mission running easy mode, is going to be a Drake. The Drake is an amazing battle cruiser for missions. It has a bonus to shield resistances, which is a critical, like, if you notice, like, all of the fits, or all of the ships that I tend to go with mission running, have at least one bonus for survivability. In this case, that resistance bonus is really solid. And then it also has the heavy assault missile damage, which does not include rapid lights, which, of course, you don't necessarily want to have a rapid light. You don't want to have rapids in missions per se. normally, so that's not that big of a problem. FC, can I bring my Drake? So fun fact, the reason why that meme exists, from my understanding, is that like the Drake has always been such a good PvE boat that it's the ship that everybody kind of has on them. And so, you know, when they were like, oh, we need everybody to go do something, people be like, can I bring my Drake? Because everybody has a Drake because that's what you did your missions in, or that's what you did your ratting in, or whatever. Obviously, the Drake also gets command bursts as part of the, like, all battle cruisers. So you could have a shield command burst on there for even more resistance. I mean, it is the new ship, for sure. And then it also has the missile velocity bonus of being a battle cruiser, so it'll shoot further. This is a solid ship for mission running. In fact, hey, here we go. It is actually kind of known for being a good passive fit. We talked about this during, you know, passive fits and active fits and all that stuff during our tanking guide. And here's another example. Are these both the same? It's basically the same. So yeah, I mean, like the Drake is just a really solid ship, especially for alphas, okay? But because alphas are going to be doing level 3 missions, and the Drake is probably one of the better Tech 1 like ships for missions in the game. The biggest disadvantage that the Drake has, as with a lot of Caldari ships, you know, anytime the Caldari, most of the time when the Caldari have a bonus to damage, it's either going, if it bonuses the damage itself, then it's usually what we call kinetic locked, okay? So we can see here that this missile launcher, or sorry, the Drake itself has a bonus to damage, but it's only to kinetic missiles. So one of the advantages of missiles over other like turrets and stuff in particular is the ability to pick your damage. But Caldari, given the fact that they like to become kinetic locked like this, tend to be more committed to kinetic. Now, the good news with that is that, as we looked at a little bit yesterday with that cheat sheet, normally pirates have a hole in their resistance that matches the damage dealt by that empire, right? So like the damage to do to Garissa ships is kinetic. The damage to do to Blood Raiders is EM, etc., etc. However, what's interesting is that the damage for Serpentis is also kinetic. So even though the Caldari ships are kinetic locked, that actually makes them still basically maximally effective against 2/5 of the major pirate factions that you're going to run into. So this still is a solid ship for very cheap. 74 million, 75 million for a Drake, and this thing will run missions all day. The Drake Navy issue, also insanely good ship with the... hold on. All right. Anyway, 3 out of 5. Guri, Serpentis, and Angel. Wait, isn't Angel explosive though? Hold on. Maybe I just did that. Maybe I just said that off. This is why I have to double check like literally everything I say. So often you get these ideas in your head. You got to validate your assumptions, right? Let me go check my infographic page. No, yeah, Angels is explosive. Well, yeah, kinetic is second weakest, so it's not terrible against Serpentis, or against the Angels. My point is that this kinetic lock in mission running is just not as big of a deal as in some cases. I know we give a lot of hell to things like the MR for being damage locked, but EM and to a lesser extent thermal is a lot less broadly valuable when it comes to fighting mission or rats than kinetic. And also, if necessary, you can always do a different damage type. It's just it'll lose that bonus. But the Drake Navy issue, as you can see, actually loses the kinetic lock. It just has bonus to damage. So that is one of the biggest reasons that you might want to go with a Drake Navy. However, the other thing to note here is that while it has that additional damage and application, and as a Navy, it almost certainly has better tank. Hold on, let's look at that real quick. Variations, compare all. Let's get rid of the Nighthawk and the Alligator. Between the Drake and Drake Navy issue, we can see that it does have a lot more shields. It has like 60% more shields, but a worse recharge time. So it's going to be not as good as the passive regen, or, you know, about the same passive regen. But what we don't have, we do have additional drones, which is kind of neat, and a drone bandwidth to be able to field a flight of medium drones instead of light drones, like the Drake. But and some more fitting, and an additional hard point. So the Drake Navy issue is going to do a lot more damage more consistently than the Drake, but you are giving up those resistance bonuses. So it could be worth considering. Like, it's not a direct upgrade, and we kind of see that with the Raven too. But let's get off. Yeah, I've heard that. Wait, you just got kicked out? Because I heard that there was some issues going on, but they said it was resolved. So if you're doing a passive Drake, then it's almost certainly better to be a normal Drake. But if you're going to go for higher damage and application, the Drake Navy issue is going to be better, right? So either way, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the Raven, which is the step up from the Drake. You can use a Drake or a Raven as an alpha, but obviously you can't pull your level 4 missions. So again, like, if you are just an alpha, I actually strongly recommend just going with a Drake. But for those of us who want to go up to level 4 missions, the king of level 4 missions has always been the Raven. And there is in the same way, there is a Raven Navy issue. And we can see that the Raven itself does rate of fire bonus, which that is not kinetic locked, obviously. But it does mean it will go through missiles faster than normal. But it has a bonus to max velocity. Look at that. 10% bonus to max velocity. When we talked about weapon systems, we pointed out that that means that these missiles just go further than other missiles, or, you know, the same missile being shot by a different ship. And that is where a lot of the secret to the Raven kind of comes from, which is the idea that missiles are really good at projecting. The Raven is really good at projecting and application. So in the previous fight, we were more of a brawly setup where we wanted to be, or we were kind of tight in with people using our blasters and our grappler and our drones and all that sort of stuff. In this case, we're actually going to go with the opposite strategy, where we have a micro jump drive. So our goal is going to be to land on grid, jump off, and then kill things as they're coming towards us. And if they do manage to get up to us, we just either wait and then jump again, or just jump again. The big advantage to this in missions, honestly, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of like putting a micro jump drive on all of my ships that I do missions with. Even when I did that Dominic's Navy issue, there was a part of me that wanted to bring a mobile depot and a micro jump drive for this purpose alone, which is that enemies in like the rats in missions can do a warp disruptor and therefore can pin you on field. And that's how I've lost ships before. But they do not scram. They only do warp disruption, which means there's nothing going to ever stop you from using a large micro jump drive. So you can even if you get pinned down and warp disrupted by an enemy rat or something like that, you can align out, micro jump drive, and then immediately warp and save yourself. So this becomes a much safer option for people who aren't necessarily going to be as baller as a brawly setup, right? So we're going to go with cruise missiles. And I have some hardeners that I've already set aside. Let's look at this real quick. So when it comes to missiles, we're going to have two different kinds of missiles. We have the Fury and we have Precision, as well as the normal like Navy issue. So with Fury, we have a maximum flight range of 167, guys. So basically with Furies, I'm going to hit them wherever they are. Doesn't matter where they are. As long as they're on the site, in the site, I'm pretty much going to hit them. And then on the same note, with the Precision, it still has a flight time of 111 kilometers. So this is still going to like fire and hit everything everywhere. The real question is, how far can I lock? And the answer is 112 kilometers. So if I wanted to use Fury to their maximum range, I would actually need to have a targeting computer to allow me to be able to shoot further. I don't think I'm necessarily going to worry about that for this one. Let's see. What else do we put in here, though? We have the two hardeners. I think we want to go with a... so I've got the 3 launchers. Oh, should we go with a... So we could go with a damage control, or we could go with like a... I think damage control is going to be the correct answer. We could go with like another application mod for missiles for the low slots, but honestly, I'm not a big fan. I'm really not a big fan of low slot application mods. Sometimes for like turrets for extra tracking a little bit, but they are so much weaker than mid slot versions. So let's go with a damage control, just for a little bit more resistance. Now, the other thing that's worth noting about this setup is that I only have 2 minutes and 5 seconds at maximum, or like survivability, right? But that's with an extra large shield booster. This is another thing that we talked about during our tanking guide. We are actually going to go with an oversized shield booster, power diagnostic unit. Is that right? Power diagnostic system. The problem is I'm going with the XL ASB or the XL SB, so I don't really need the extra. I right now don't need the extra power grid. I certainly don't need extra shield amount or even that much capacitor recharge rate. So I don't know about that. Maybe. Let's see. We can go to Eve Workbench. And search for a Raven fit. See if anything here is going to jump out at me. Or a fit. No, not an Ansil. Sorry, XL SB, not ASB. My bad. Not ASB. My puppy. What's up, Zoria? All right. Let's see. We've got Angel Ratting, Raven Sniper. Oh, right. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. We're going to want a target painter. At least one target painter. If we can do it. And then this one does have an ASB. I do not like ASBs for this kind of thing. This is a lot of tank. Double shield boost amplifiers. I don't know if I buy that one. But capacitor flux coils. Isn't that bad? Hold on. Oh, no. Capacitor recharge rate, but reduces maximum capacitor storage. That's, I mean, I guess if you already are using a micro warp drive, maybe. 1K DPS alpha friendly. This is pretty close to what I was going. Oh no, this is a passive fit. Maybe should we go with passive fit? Is passive fit? No, wait, hold on. It's not a passive fit. It's a mixed fit. That's not great. That's bad. Don't do that. Chill mission runner. I like things being chill. This uses cruise, no micro jump drive. Also has an extender and a booster, but it does have a target painter. Okay, well, semiconductor memory cell. All right, well, I was just trying to get an idea of what rigs to use, but I don't feel like I got that idea. So let's just go ahead and make up our own. Okay, so I'm going to have the 2 hardeners here, or am I going to have only 1 hardener now? I have the afterburner and the micro jump drive. I don't know if I like that per se. So we can have 2 hardeners, or we can have a target painter and a hardener. If we have a hardener, we're definitely going to want to, like, let's look at the EM hardener. That brings it up to 62. And a thermal hardener brings that up to 70. So that's probably a big deal. Do we... I think we just don't always have the afterburner. I'm no help here. I don't fit ravens like normal people. I could... Well, yeah, okay. We could do capacitor in the rigs. But also, actually, I had a thought about this, which is that I think... Isn't there a rig that helps with shield boosters to make them so they take less power need of all shield upgrade modules? Faster safeguard. Pattern need of all things that require shield operations. Okay, so let's check this out. If we go with like a Tech 2 capacitor safeguard, that puts it at 3 minutes versus 2 minutes. So yeah, let's do this. Let's try this. All right, we got that. We have, do we do a second capacitor safeguard? Restrained micro warp drive. I'm not using any, I don't have a micro warp drive on. You don't need to be burning with an AB to sustain tank if you're pulling range with the micro jump drive. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a really good point, actually. But I think ultimately I'm going to, yeah. Let's try that. I mean, we are really hurting our cap in multiple ways at this point. But let's go ahead and see how this works. That's 110, so that's garbage. Let's see. I guess a capacitor control circuit? Capacitor control circuit. Get past all the cap stuff. Wow. That changes it so little, it doesn't even add an extra second to the time. But let's go ahead and turn off our micro warp drive because we're not always going to have it running. Then it adds 5 seconds to the time. Safeguarded 2 semiconductors. That's what I was, honestly, that sounds right. So, you know, as we covered in the other thing, I think we've covered this before. When it comes to cap, there are... you know, the 2 different rigs that do 2 different things. So you kind of have to play around with them to see which one is better. I don't actually know if we covered this with cap, but it is true with shields as well, with like passive shields. So it's kind of the same thing. So we're just going to look at this. 155, 230. Okay. Yeah. 2 capacitor safeguards, or semiconductors, and a capacitor safeguard. Perfect. That looks great. And then we can just go with a target painter. Right. And honestly, this CPU, this coprocessor, not even necessary. So we could do something else here too. This actually, do we put a cap in the low? Do we go with that the Malak's favorite piece of engineering equipment? Let's see. Capacitor flux coil 2 is 2 minutes and 1 second, or 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Capacitor power relay 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But this is the one that like makes it so boosting is worse, right? Yeah, this one's bad. This one's very bad. We do not want to do this. The power diag blows my CPU. So I would need a compact. And that increases my time by 15 seconds. Capacitor power relay reduces the shield boost amount, but the flex coil increases the recharge amount. Yeah. And then the reactor control unit, basically unnecessary at this point. So could check Caldari Navy power diagnostic system. That does work. And again, like we've talked about before, I really like the power diagnostic system if you need multiple pieces of it, right? So at this point, I actually don't need the power grid, but I could use the capacitor. I don't know. Let's shield flux coils is just the recharge rate versus whatever. And this is capacitor to shields. That's not going to work either. So those aren't going to work. How to choose between a missile guidance system or a target painter? Well, that's a question too. I would say a missile guidance system is certainly going to be, so generally speaking, I like to think that like the missile guidance computer is a selfish mod, you know, because it only helps you, whereas the target painter will help everybody within your fleet. So if you're in a fleet, then obviously the missile, the target painter can be more useful. That is an interesting point though, but the other piece to this though is that, so the other reason why I might want to go with the guidance computer, which actually I might, is that the target painter has an optimal range of 54. So if I'm going to be shooting past 54, I would want a missile guidance computer, which I probably will be. So let's see how that works. I'm actually going to... hit this, go to compare, I guess, and then delete all the ones that isn't the Tech 2, and then go to the missile guidance computer. Turrets and launchers, weapon upgrades, missile guidance computer, Tech 2. Okay, so if we look at the two of these, we can see that the guidance computer is going to be cheaper to run because it's going to cycle twice as slow and also take almost half as much capacitor. So it's going to be, yeah, that's true. The micro jump drive isn't going to be running most of the time. Let's see. But it does take more CPU, which I don't have a lot of at the moment. So that might be a problem. let's see. We take this off, and then we put this on. And then we see this. It does... this doesn't actually have... Okay, so its maximum flight range is 124, and it's... Hold on. Show charge info? Nope, that's the gun. So if we look at the attributes here, by the way, if you look at the attributes when it's in simulation, then it shows it with all the effects on it. If you just pull it up randomly, like if I was to pull this item down here, oops, if I was to pull this item down here and then hit show info, you can see it doesn't have any of the bonuses applied to it. So that's a good way to check like your skills versus just neutral. Either way. So we see here explosion velocity of 134, explosion radius of 204. So 204, 134 versus 222 and 124. Hold on. All right, can I do this? Hold on, can I do this? Can we do this? Hell yeah! If you hold in shift, then it opens up both boxes unless you set up your options. Throw in the application script. Yes, we'll get to that in a second. Do I need a micro warp drive at all? I'm going to carry the micro warp drive so that way I can get between gates. Theoretically speaking, I can do the double micro jump drive thing to jump between gates, but that can take time, and there might be opportunities where a micro warp drive is better. That's actually why I've been thinking about like taking off the micro warp drive completely and then putting it in the cargo as like a extra thing that I can hop into if I need to. But we'll get there in just a second. So these two missiles. Wait, these are the same. Oh, because it's not on. Ha ha ha. 204 explosion radius. So what is that? A 10% explosion radius bonus and a almost 10% explosion velocity bonus. So likely this is that is just going to be a 10% bonus to damage, whereas the target painter let's put it on this thing so that way I can get the bonuses. The target painter is a 30% signature radius modifier, but doesn't change their speed. So I think all things considered, I'm going to go with the computer. Yeah, we're going to stick with the computer. Missile guidance computer too. And then we can also make this even more by putting the precision script in. And now my stats are 185 and 145. So that's really good. Okay, great. So doing good there. And then there's one more low slot still. I'm thinking. So there's cap, there's more precision, or there's agility, right? Because I could go with a nano. Yeah, you could go with a nano to make it go a little bit faster, which could be good. Yes, it's true. I have basically no CPU left, so that's a good point. That's a good point. So I'm not going to get anything too fancy. So let's go ahead and look at that nano. Where is it? It's hull and armor? Hull upgrades? Yeah. So a nano fits and changes my speed to over 1100. So it's like 10% additional speed. That's true. I could swap out the micro warp drive for the what you just said, the battery. But can I? Hold on, let's look. If I go here and then go to the cat battery, so I don't have very much CPU. So I think I'm going to want to go with a Republic Fleet cat battery, more likely than not. Thucker is for power grid. Engineering equipment? Yeah. So if I go with a Republic Fleet cat battery, it fits. Wait, can I just go with a Tech 2? I can just go with a Tech 2. And that makes my setup last 5.5 minutes. Are you going to only use the micro warp drive to travel? Nano wouldn't do much, right? Oh my god. Okay, that's a good point too. Although, so the nano will still help for a couple of reasons. One, it gets my alignment down to sub 10 seconds, which if I don't have a micro warp drive, that can be good. Otherwise, it is 12 seconds. It also makes it so that if I am going to micro jump drive, I'm faster to getting into correct alignment for it. But yeah, I mean, it isn't exceptional. And I do now have more CPU. So let's go ahead and look to see if there's anything else I can do here. But let's just, maybe more application is going to be good. Maybe more application is going to be good. Let's look into that. I never would have thought that going with like the most popular mission running ship to do mission running in 2026 would actually be something that we have to debate, right? I would have figured that somebody had been like, here's your fit, and then just go with it. But that's the way we live in. All right, so and then now this becomes 176 thing. Explosion radius and 152 explosion velocity. It's not that simple because there's a lot of variables. It's true. Okay. So, and then now we got the Dreadgrissus EM. I only want one in here. I just happen to have these laying around, which is why I ended up grabbing them. Just in case. Is this all of it? I think... Hold on. I want, as a mission runner, there's actually something... I could go with a passive targeter. That can be fun. But I think what I want is a tractor beam. Right? Oh, no! All right, hold on. So we want a tractor beam. So here's the secret, okay? So stacking penalties are a bitch, right? So by the time you get to 3 stacking penalties, we're starting to hit diminishing returns pretty seriously. But the way it works is that it applies each one from best to worst. So what we can do is, if we need a little bit of CPU, which we do, we can compact one ballistic control system, and that's going to be the worst ballistic control system, which means it's going to be the most diminishing returned, which means it's going to be the least impactful change that I can make to this build. So I can switch this to a compact, and my damage goes from 582 or 585 to 575. So I lose 10 DPS, but the fit works, right? And that's good. I could bling it out, but we're trying to keep this kind of cheap. Ugh, those rigs, man. Okay, let's just give up the Tech 2 rigs for a little bit. Battleship Tech 2 rigs are fucking painful. So we're just going to go with Tech 1 rigs and hope that that's enough. So now we have a 312 million ISK fit. You can get a... Yes, that's true. If you're over on CPU, you can always get cheap implants. That said, what I actually recommend you do when it comes to this ship, or any of these kinds of ships, of all of the implants that are... hold on. You know, pirate implants can be pretty expensive. But last I checked, the one pirate implant that really isn't that expensive comparatively are crystals, which are the shield boost implants. So let's go and double check that, make sure it's good. If we go to finding contracts, we'll see that you can get a full set of crystals, including mid-grade crystals, including the Omega, for 600 million, which may seem like a lot. It's twice as much as your ship. But the thing is that this is going to work with any shield boosting ship. And it is very cheap. And it's a lot of difference. It's a lot of difference. Can I see that on here, actually, now that I think about it? Because I thought you could. If I like put like this in the cargo... No. At one point, I thought that it did that. I could switch over to my clone that has crystals, probably, to show off exactly how impactful it is. There is a thing... I think it's on Eve Uni. Hold on. Eve Uni Pirate. I'm typing one-handed because I've still got my dog on my lap and she's laying against my arm. So, you know, that's fun. Let's see. So if we go to the implant set, really? Navigation, tanking. Okay, here we go. Boost amount, high grade crystals. Hold on. Set per slot, effect bonus per slot. So does this have the total? Aha, total effect. I have to widen it a little bit. Got it. So a full set of mid-grade crystals is a 33% boost to your reps. That's huge. High grade is 53, which is, of course, bigger. But if we go to high grade crystals, we'll see that a set of high grade crystals is 1.59 billion. Oh, wait, that's not even the right. Wait, no, that's grails. These are grails. Crystals. 1.76 billion. And then the low grade. What? There's no low grade at all? Huh. The point is that low grade crystals are often actually more expensive than mid grades. So that's something interesting to note. The other thing that's cool about implants is that even if you lose your ship, as long as you get your pot off, you're still good to go. So, you know, consider getting yourself a good set of mid-grade crystals and or a good set of Asclepians. That's the armor equivalent. I do really, really appreciate those because it allows me to take somebody else's fit and then tweak it a little bit. Like often, like I have my Asclepian set. So if I get a fit that I see that has like, there was a triple rep Drek, right? I can take that fit and I can just rip off one of the reps and then put something else in there. And that's pretty cool. But in this case, it's just a little bit of extra blanket of security. But we aren't going to need that per se. My point is that the crystals, if you are going to go with a pirate set, that does take up the 6 slot, which is where you would get the extra CPU or power grid from. So you can't actually fit a pirate implant set and a fitting implant at the same time. But, you know, there are other options too. Either way, this looks like it's going to work. I'm going to take everything in my inventory and put it in the item hanger. So that way, when I hit fit... Oh, wait, no. We want to take the ammo. This is not damage locked. So what we're going to do is we're going to take... pretty much 2,000 of each, right? This is where it's going to be really valuable to have ammo for sale in the location that you're doing the missions. So you can always swap out. We could also pick up some auto-targeting missiles if we really wanted to be screwy. We'll just pick a couple options here. And then we go here and we go 2,000. We're going to just upgrade all of our ammo to 2,000. Now, you do not need to have Tech 2 missile launchers. You can always go with Tech 1 missile launchers. I'm not going to be able to fit 2,000 of each. The only thing I don't have is Nova or Scourge, which is pretty funny. You do not need to have Tech 2 missile launchers, in which case you want to just go with a high meta, good meta launcher, like a Malkuth. And at that point, you just go with normal Navy missiles. That's fine too. In fact, we can check it out. We want to go with... do we have any Navy? Yes. If we go with Navy Mjolnir, we can see that our DPS is higher than Precision. Wait, is that true? Hold on. Precision, 575. Fury, 806. And Navy is 661. So... let's just look at the weapon difference right here real quick. So here we can see that the Precision has a much shorter flight time than all of the rest. With the everything, basically Fury and Precision having a shortened flight time. So actually, yeah, we already checked that, right? Because with Precision, with Mjolnir, it goes 250 kilometers. That's too far. Interesting fit. I'm open to advice, suggestions. But also the Precision is going to be a lot more much lower explosion radius and much higher explosion velocity. So it's going to do a lot more damage overall, even though it doesn't fly as far. And we can see here that the Precision and the it does the same as a Tech 1. So yeah, the Navy does midway in between, and also has better application than the Fury. So so we actually had a target painter for a little bit, but then we figured out that I think we want a missile guidance computer with a script more than a target painter for application. Again, like, as I said, target painters are really good. Like, they're a fleet tool, right? Because it increases everyone's damage. Whereas a missile guidance computer is very selfish in comparison. But when you're flying by yourself, selfish is good. So let's see what happens if I just hit fit ship right now. Buy all. Is this going to work? Yes, but you can replace shields? What do you mean? You mean you're saying I'm over-tanked and should go with a target painter? That's not a terrible suggestion. Definitely something to look at. We're going to buy and fit. Fit rigs. Exit simulation. Boom. Okay, great. And now we load up some missiles. We can just go with Caldari Mjolnir for now. I think this is it. I think this is our fit. I think this is our ship. We can go here and we can see, like, with the double resistance mods. I do have... So, to his point, I have 4 mods all on... I have five modules currently dedicated to tank. In a ship that's designed to be way too far away to take damage. So it is true that this might be over-tanked. Now, the real question would be, do I go with a... would I want to go with a double missile guidance computer, or would I want to go with a missile guidance computer and a... and a target painter? Double scripts? You think so? I would be concerned. Hold on. You want down? Okay, there you go. All right, that makes things easier. Whew. All right, so if I go with, what was I doing? Right, if I take the script and I put it in there. So now I can go into the simulation. Let's just pull off one of these randomly and see, like, okay, so once again, we can pull up the missiles here. And if I add a second, if I add a second missile guidance computer and script, then I can show info again on the missile, and we can see the difference is, oops. Damn it. Didn't work because I changed the conditions. All right, so if I go like that and then open up this one, then we will see that it goes from 195 to 170. And 142 to 126. So actually, that's pretty decent. 1 large shield, ancillary booster, 2 multi-shield hardeners, 2s. I don't like... So, and that's the thing, is that I do not like multi-spectrums for PvE, for missions. Because you know what damage they're going to do. So I'm going to bring all of the type-specific hardeners, so that way I can harden to the mission that I'm going to be doing. And I would need to have I would need to have a target computer to be able to shoot that far away. And I'm also really hesitant to use ancils in PvE. But I don't hate the double missile guidance computer either. So let's go ahead and exit simulation and pick up a second one of these. And a second precision script. And then we can go into the fitting or the window here and we can say, okay, I can put this in and then do I have room for that? I do. Sweet. I'm not a fan of the damage on it. It's less than 50% of the DNI yesterday. Yes, but the difference is that the DNI is a blaster boat that needs to be within 10 to 20 kilometers of the opponent for it to be really effective. And this thing needs to be 100 kilometers from the opponent to be really effective. Post it in COE comms. So yeah, you went with the drone link augmenter. That was something I thought about. I don't necessarily like the the type-specific hardener, and I definitely don't like using an ancillary shield booster for missions. Overall, I think this is all right, though, and I think that the sensor booster is not a terrible idea to potentially replace one of the other hardeners. I also am not really excited about the Hava C3A with this setup, just because, like, yeah, you do have drones, but I don't think that it's that impactful. These are more for, like, a rattlesnake. And furthermore, the C3A is not great overall. So, I mean, I definitely get where you're going with here. I think that if we can make it work without an ancillary shield booster, it would be better. But you don't have a lot of capacitor otherwise. So, we'll see. I think this is it, though, right? We've got, well, I guess we could do drones. Let's do drones. So, let's see. It's drone bandwidth is 50, which means 5 medium drones. So we're going to grab combat drones, medium scout drones. We're going to grab hammerheads and... Oh, wait, hold on. I guess we could just do it this way. We're going to grab 5 of those. Wait, this is... Boo, I don't need this. We did note that the Navy is actually kind of good, especially with tank, but we are just going to go with this for now. Drone bay, and then we're going to go with warriors as our light drone, just because if you're going to be using your light drones, you want them to be kind of as fast as possible. So we're going to go with 5 warrior 2s. And should be about it, right? Yeah, we've got drones, we've got missiles, we've got everything we need. Let's go ahead and set our sights for the Sisters of Eve station. It is... It's Arydanika, right? No, it's Arydanika, right? Doesn't... No, for missions. I have too much stuff. Do I even have anything there on this character? Yeah, it is Arydanika. Oh yeah, I even have my Navy Raven issue, or Raven Navy issue there. That's funny. Well, let's go ahead and get a Raven there. Now, just like with the previous fit, or the previous ship from yesterday, when this is over, this ship will be available to people within the convocation who wants to use it. I'm also not in a war deck with this character today, so it's slightly less exciting. I also... Uh-oh. Oh, shit. I am using a CPU implant. Damn it. That means that this is not going to work without that CPU implant. So in that world... Republic fleet is not enough. We might... you could probably compact or otherwise enhance. What the... Oh, that... I love how it's saying that the most expensive one is the best one. Also, why this is... I hate... You know, I tried to defend the new compare tool. I do not like the fact that the new compare tool does not allow abyssal mods to work. But overall, it absolutely, in my opinion, was just a downgrade. Right? Like, either way. So we can go here and go with a... this is 55. So we would need like a compact or Republic fleet. It is actually bad. I mean, I know I made a video that's like, if you hate the compare tool, watch this first to help people kind of get the most out of it. But it's really, it's honestly kind of spooky to me that this kind of change will happen and then not get fixed at all. So I feel kind of obligated to continue to complain about it. So, yeah, you could grab like a domination shield boost amplifier. Will that help? That should help, right? Yeah, that would do it. So now, if you don't have the CPU implant, which is a lot cheaper, it's a lot cheaper to get the CPU implant than it is to do everything I just did. But the other way you could do this actually, I'm also not travel fitting, so but I'm in a 300 million-isk ship, so it's not really worth ganking me, which is kind of handy. But if I just turn off my tractor beam, almost, yeah, tractor beam and Navy or Republic Fleet cap battery together would be enough to free up your CPU. Yeah, it's just a Raven. And that's the thing. A lot of times, the biggest defense against being ganked is just don't be a good to gank target. Raven Fleet is pretty scary. Like I said, I actually have a Raven Navy there. I didn't fit it. Skullcracker did, but he gave it to me. So we might be able to take out the Raven Navy, see what we think about the comparison between the two. And so let's go ahead and set up our mods. We've got 2 hardeners and a ballistic. Also, why is this down here? If you go here and then align HUD align to top, that moves it to the top. So I like to have these in the 4-5 in the because you know your F keys are broken into 4 blocks. So I tend to like put my tank or stuff in the or like things I'm going to use, but not necessarily all the like during combat, but I want to do them all the time in the F4 to F8 slots usually. And then we'll put this here, and then this in the F4 slot because F4 is kind of easy to find anyways. And then there's our mods. Now, unfortunately, this character is still even comm negative as well. So that could be fun. I'm actually more eating comm negative with this character than with the with Ash at the moment. Why am I training expedition frigates? Oh, I guess, well, who knows? What else should I train with this character? By the way, it's true that this character was made explicitly back in like 2011 or whatever for mission running. I've said this before. I do advise for newer players to, you know, like multi-boxing, or not even multi-boxing, but having multiple accounts is just really, really useful, right? Past a certain point, you're pretty much going to want to have at least 2 Omega accounts at your disposal. You don't necessarily need to use them all the time, but you want to just at least have them, right? Especially the real break point is if you're going to want to ever do capital ships ever, you're going to want 2 characters, because like if you want to have your own capital, you really, really, really need to be able to light your own Sino. Not like, yes, you can always have friends. You can always, there's ways around it or whatever, but like to not even have the option to light your own Sino means that you're not a fully functional capital pilot, more or less, right? So, you know, having 2 accounts is useful on the get-go. And then I recommend you have 2 different characters. One is armor and turret based, and the other is shields and missile based, because those are, you know, shields and armor, missiles and turrets. These are mutually exclusive training from each other. And also, like, shields and missiles are very complementary. A lot of missile boats rely on shields. And likewise, a lot of the top turret boats are going to be armor. So Ashtarothi was my original armor turret character, and Invictus here was my original shield missile character, which is the real reason why I'm flying her around in a Raven. So, and you know, like when I got into the game, I tried stuff out. I tried some mission running. I tried some ratting, and then I jumped, like when I wanted to have easy time of it, I made my new character that was shield missiles and went to the Drake and then the Raven and then the Rattlesnake, and that's literally what she flies to this day, except for the Golem, obviously. So but like, just a thought for people, if you are interested in doing stuff, you know, it's not a bad time if you've got your main character, but you want to go do exciting stuff with it in like Null or whatever. You can always roll a second character like I did, use a buddy code, and get them into shields and missiles to be kind of your high-sec mission running character for just some really consistent value until they get trained up enough that you can like cross-train. All right, so we're getting to the station. For multi-boxing, 2 mission runners, having one be a ranged turret sniper and the other be an auto-targeting missile ship works pretty well. That's true too, yeah. Like, interestingly enough, these 2 ships that I just had, the Dominix and the Raven, would work really well together, right? Because the Dominix is designed for kill, like the things that are a little bit closer or whatever, while the Raven is really good at like projecting outward. So they could theoretically team up with each other. And missions are actually not a terrible thing to group up with people about. You know, you can run most missions as a solo, but the nice thing about missions is that the faster you run them, the more stuff you get. So if you add in an extra person, you actually can, you make more resources, and both characters or everybody within the group can start to get standing. So it's really nice for you to have somebody who maybe can pull the missions and another person that can't pull the missions, to give them an opportunity to get their standings up. Okay, so we are here now, and we can grab all of our mods. I didn't grab a mobile depot. Shit. Oh well, whatever. And then we go to agents. Let's see what we get. What's up, Hulkaman? Do we get something good? I just realized I'm really glad I can actually pull missions with this character. I didn't think about it, but yeah, it turns out I can, so that's fine. Shrew. Okay. And this is against Serpentis. So because it's Serpentis, I'm going to want to be thermal kinetic, and I'm going to want to do kinetic, right? So we're going to accept the mission. And then we're going to take off this EM hardener and put a kinetic hardener on. Uh-oh. And turn off our tractor beam. It's not perfect yet. We're working on it. I definitely should have gone with a Republic Fleet Cap battery. Maybe something else. I probably could have gotten some more easier fit on the hardener, but either way, we're going for it. And this is going to be good because our kinetic is 77 and our thermal is 70, so that's going to be a really good resistance profile. And then our actual damage, we're going to want to do Scourge, which was the one missile type I didn't bring. So now I am at the mercy of the market. So I go here and I go Scourge. And hopefully I'm buying from Clue. All right, faction, Caldari Navy, Scourge. This is Cruise, right? Yeah, Cruise. Yeah, I'm going to be paying extra, but I'm definitely going for it. Not too much extra, actually. It's not bad. Scourge Fury. And Scourge Precision. All right. And now we go like that. And we check my fit one more time. We went with the single missile guidance computer, and that's we'll see if that's fine. We should probably be super over tanked, and so we'll probably change it afterwards. But let's go ahead and just shoot some Serpentis first. The score. I think this is one of those multi-room ones. You can always look things up on Eve Survival. I tend not to, just because I want something to be exciting. Hey, look at that golem. Golems are so good. You want the real king of battle? That's it right there, the golem. I could show you the golem in action later if you guys want. Nothing should get close to me. Yep. We'll see. Like I said, I think I'm going to have be over tanked. But at the same time, I think that safety is an important piece to this. But like, yeah, I would get a second multi... if I'm having issues applying to frigates, and also my tank is fine, that's when I really, really know I'm going to want an extra one. At point blank, like Trig Hunting, Kronos, Win, but with every other circumstance, Golem. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't other options for other Marauders, but watch DS, OS, important? I'm not sure if you had a stroke or if I did. Okay, D-scan. Oh. Well, that's the nice thing about being in this kind of ship is that I am not the target. Wait. What? Oh. Whoa, that's so weird. Agent missions encounter. Okay, I can do it from there. This one. Oh, okay. There's my warp 2. Jesus. Let's hop into this version so that way we can watch Peld. The only people that'll hunt me are stream snipers? Yeah. And if there are stream snipers going to be hunting me, then they should have done it yesterday. All right, I've got my hardeners on, my tracking, or my missile guidance computer on. I'm on my way. That's true. But I mean, like, if you go after this cheap-ass Raven instead of that Golem, I don't know what to tell you. Oh yeah, I need this to be... We're going to start with Scourge Fury. And this thing, I can cycle it every 3 minutes. So I'm going to land almost, or kind of near the, oh, actually not actually kind of near the gate, but so this is where you learn trigonometry, right? So if the gate's there, I'm going to want to like go up like this. Because the idea is that I'm going to jump there, like up, and then I can jump back down and basically land directly on the gate, hopefully. And if you look, I still have everything locked that I had before. Uh-oh. Damn it. No. Shit. All right, let's go ahead and start burning away from the gate then, because I'm still 62 off. I should have like gone straight up or something. So this is where you start to like have to count missiles, right? So I'm going to shoot one more missile set at that guy. That should kill him. And I'm going to shoot 2 at this guy. Because missiles have a flight time, I actually have to like count my missiles and then turn it off before they make it there. We're going to do 1 shot at the destroyer. Oh shit, I just saw a second shot at this destroyer because I'm bad at this. Yeah, 1 shot at the destroyer is enough. So we're just going to start one-shotting everything. Gates are big at least, so yeah, I'm probably going to end up closer than I thought I'm afraid of, but oh no! Failed to one-shot the frigates. So one of the frigates. So application might be good. But I mean, I'm killing everything. I'm killing the destroyers and almost all of the frigates basically as fast as I can. So I'm not even sure if extra application is going to be too much of value. I think this fit just works. I'm going to shoot 1 at that guy. Yeah, I don't know if additional application would be the difference. Although it's kind of wild that I sometimes kill them in 1 shot and sometimes kill them in 2 shots, given the fact that, like, theoretically speaking, the missile damage is completely formulaic. So I should do exactly the same amount of damage every single time. Unless there's something different about the stats of those characters. But, I mean, so far this has been slick as hell. And as you can see, like, I'm not even... My tank isn't even on. Sniper drones? It's true. I could go with sniper drones, but if I went with, like, if I went with sentries, you would only get 2 sentries, which, I mean, sure. 3 shots? No! Okay, the gate is at 87, so I'm going to end up being about right. Whoops, too many missiles. Oh no, that was the right amount. 1 and 2. So most things are taking 2 missiles to kill. And the nice thing about using a computer instead of a target painter is when it comes to these like counting missiles problems, the target painter ends up being a bit of an issue because it's like trying to get your target painter to switch between the things to always make sure that the correct target has the target painter as the missiles are hitting. That you can actually lose some efficiency. So the more I'm playing around with this, the more I'm liking the tracking or the target missile guidance computer over a target painter. And that acceleration gate is going... I actually can stop now because I'm going to get too far away from the acceleration gate if I don't. Let us turn up the audio a little bit. Oops. Lost track of counting on that one, too. And this is it. This is very, very simple. We'll see how much money we make. Now, granted, this site so far has been mostly smaller stuff. So my payout isn't going to be huge compared to if the site was mostly like battleships or whatever. But the task itself is also going to give me 2.5 million plus 6,500 LP, which remember that's like 6.5 million. No, actually it's more. That's definitely like 10 million ISK there. So this site is going to be worth whatever the bounties are, plus, call it 14, 15 million. Oops, fuck. Too many shots, probably. Maybe a little bit more application would be good, especially with those cruisers. Bill issued. Okay, well. I'm sure I'll pay that soon. Yeah. That's why we're doing SOE missions, is that, like, SOE missions are fantastic for LP. And now we can actually start aligning down, because when I jump, I'm still going to be able to see everything and shoot everything. So we can already start the alignment process and then jump. Yeah, I think that tomorrow I may try to do burner missions. I've never done burner missions before. I'm going to see about doing that tomorrow. Unless somebody wants to... Yeah, no, I've done like a couple of burner missions very, very mildly a while ago. I even think I had a friend with me, so it wasn't really fair. And now I just activate the acceleration gate. Now, the real concern with what I just did, though, is that now I actually have an interestingly bad problem, which is that my micro jump drive is 2.5 minutes before it can use again, and I'm going into the next pocket. So it would have been better for me to jump earlier so I could burn through some more of that timer, because I'm going to land... Well, I guess it doesn't technically matter in this case. But, you know, that is something to keep in mind. If you are relying on your micro jump drive for survival, and you do something like that, it can be bad. So hopefully we can at least test our tank a little bit. Marauders used to be great for micro jump drives, then they lost that bonus. Yep, and it sucks. But it is what it is. Marauders are still basically the absolute rulers of missions. but they're also very much gank targets, which is interesting because, like, so the thing about Marauders, it goes back to what I was saying yesterday, which is that, like, I like it when the value of the ship is something that cannot necessarily be recovered from the enemy, right? So if you are running around in a Marauder and somebody blows you up, I'm still not taking any damage. If you're in a Marauder and somebody blows you up, all of the value of the Marauder itself is lost, right? They still have to burn through the additional tech, the additional resists of you being a tech 2, and whatever hit points and defenses that you have. But, like, obviously the value of that Marauder goes away when it blows up. It's only the fit that survives, potentially. And so it's an interesting thing because, like, a lot of people like to bling out their Marauders as a way of, like, well, I mean, it's an expensive ship, so it gets more value out of bling, and you might as well bling it. But the thing is that that's the thing that makes you more of a gank target. Because that's what people want. Now, granted, people are going to try to gank a Marauder either way because they're just going to assume that the ship has good fit or, you know, something expensive in it because everybody blings out their Marauders. But yeah, it's the reason why I tend to actually like to not bling out my Marauders, because that makes it so that they are less of a target, and even if they are, like, targeted, it's actually kind of a mistake. Oh my god, I went so far, I actually ended up out of range. Not totally out of range, obviously. I still have plenty of flight time. I was just targeting range. The only time I was ganked in my Marauder was when I was bling fit. It never happened in a T2. Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, sometimes people like to... people will just go for it if they see an opportunity. So it's not unheard of that somebody will just go for a Marauder regardless. But yeah, the biggest thing about Marauders, and the reason why Marauders are such a high target, is because people tend to bling out their Marauders. But as Nyko points out, you absolutely do not need to. I bling the micro warp drive only so it wouldn't get the cap penalty, but that's it. I also don't fly SOE. Yeah, so the other thing is that the biggest thing to bling is the Repper, right? The tank. Tank is the most expensive thing to bling in the game. Whoops. I need to let it get a little bit closer. Let's reload. So yeah, like, blinging out your Repper is pretty risky. But it's also pretty impactful, so But, like, look, the other advantage of the Marauder is the fact that, like, your Bastion and just the existing is most of your tank. It is very much better to bling your pod, especially in a Marauder. That's 2 shots. I think it's 3 for the battleships. T2 X large shield booster is my bling. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm naughty sometimes. Do I have my golem on here? I do. Oh yeah, I do just go with the Tech 2 on here. Yeah, the only bling I have on here is the ballistic control systems. All right, well, now I'm going to brawl. And we're going to run the rep a couple times. See how much that reps. So again, this is like I'm going with an oversized shield booster. So I don't run this all the time. I'm turning it on and off as I need to. So these missile fits are not brain dead in the fact that they actually require a lot more active play, in the fact that you have to count your missiles to be efficient, and you know, you don't run the shield booster all the time. You kind of manage the combination of your shield booster and your cap. So it's a lot more active in how you play it. But like I said, like this is very, very strong. It's absolutely affordable compared to a lot of other options for missions. And this is like a really, really good place for somebody who may be a bit newer or whatever. I'm going to throw out my hammerheads to finish him off. I don't want to use another missile set volley on him. And of course, you can also go here into options and configure ship and health alert settings. I like to make my capacitor alert at 30%, so that way I get alerted right as I'm entering into my capacitor's maximum threshold. And I put my shield alert at 25%, so that way it happens when my shields are broken. This allows me to, in the event that I accidentally forget to turn off my shield booster or something like that, these alarms will get me back in the game in time. I got 3.5 million ISK in bounties from this first payout. So that's pretty good. It's about the same as we got with the Dominic's Navy issue yesterday in our first payout. I think we're going to need 2 more shots probably to kill this Admiral. There's one. Let's shut it off. Oh my god, one more. Fine, we'll do one more. And now it's dead, and I activate the gate. And because I jumped back early this time, my large micro jump drive is ready to go again. Yeah, this is my golem fit. It is very strong, actually. Hey, this one I don't even need to micro jump drive yet. We're just going to kill from small to big. In general, when it comes to missions, you want to kill from small to big. Some missions intentionally fuck with you if you do that, but I don't think this is one of them. Let's see if one shot kills it. It does. So, in comparison, this golem so these are going to take 2 shots each. Dang it. If I can show... Nope. Oh, well. Used with... These are Scourge Fury, right? I wonder if I went with Precision, if I would get better. Missile velocity times launcher cycle time shows the range where you don't need to worry as much about counting missiles. It's the range your missiles go before another missile's fire. That's a really solid point. And yeah, I was kind of instinctively paying attention to whether or not the damage gets done before the cycle completes for the counting. But yeah, that's a good point. Paying attention to your cycle versus the thing. However, if the shot doesn't kill something, it often can take up to another second to register the damage. If you've ever noticed that, like, sometimes it seems like you do a little bit, like you do the damage and then immediately kill it. That's because when you kill something, it knows it right away, it seems. But if you do damage to it, it can take up to another tick, it seems, before the full damage registers. Any rate, oh, this is Torps too, because golems have range bonuses. So with Torps, I still have 46-kilometer flight range with the short-range missiles. I think Fury's the short-range missiles, but I do 2,751 DPS as opposed to my current DPS, which is 964. So 2.5 times more damage, plus probably even better application due to the target painter bonus. Yeah, you can get over 3K for sure. So yeah, if I hover over this, you can see all right, if I go to my missile, show charge info. So maximum flight time is 16 seconds, but my cycle speed is, come on, rate of fire 6.7 seconds. So 6.7 seconds times, which of course 6.7 seconds means that 70% of the time it will go 8 seconds and 30% of the time it'll go 7 seconds. So we can go maximum velocity of 11,000. I know you've already done it, but just I do this kind of to show the process, but I can go here and go 11,209 times 7, and I've got 78 kilometers. So if they're within 78 kilometers, I should know whether or not I've hit them before the next missile launches. Definitely if above like 50. But even then, like you saw, that thing hit, even though it was at 40, it hit basically right as I was at the cycle time. Not because it actually hit then, but because it takes a little bit of time for the damage to register sometimes. So yeah, it's coming at 30 kilometers. The damage is coming through about a second before I have to shut off the module, so I theoretically could do it. Or more importantly, the module will shut itself off because the target will be dead and therefore not shoot another missile out of it. Basically, Torfit golems don't care about ammo too much. You just fire until it's dead. Yeah. I mean, I still do some counting of missiles with the golem. If for no other reason than it gives me something to do. And that's it. This is the entire mission, I think, right? Yep. That was it. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, and that is the Raven. That is the Raven. Once again, this will be available to people in the convocation who wants to do mission running in for the SOE, along with the Dominic's Navy issue, which we might actually just go and try the sniper version of the Dominic's Navy issue just to see how that works, how well that works. So I guess, depending on what thing's going, are people more interested in seeing how the Golem works, or do we want to try out the Dominic's Navy issue, or are we good for the day? Also, speaking of being good for the day, my goal for this evening, I do have an appointment in 3 hours or whatever, but after that, either today or tomorrow, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream on my Decanted channel for the first time, mostly to test to see if I make sure that it's all working right. But so there was some interest in Star Wars The Old Republic yesterday. I do have my character, I started playing Star Wars The Old Republic about a month ago. I've gotten a Jedi, not Jedi, Sith warrior, and I did some of the Sith Inquisitor, but I've heard really good things about the Imperial Agent storyline. So what I think I'm going to do tonight or tomorrow, one of the two, depending on how things play out, is do a stream on my Decanted channel that is my first time playthrough of the Imperial Agent with a new character. So that's the plan. So let me know feedback about if we want to run the Golem right now. Do we want to run the Dominic's Navy issue right now? Thoughts about that? You know, whatever. Yeah, by the way, actually, hold on. Let's double check before we do anything else. Also, I should have done this yesterday too. Let's look at the Air Career Program. Nope, not the Air Career Program. That's not right. Wait a minute. Oh, Aura Assistance. Like, this is obviously, like, this is opening up freelance jobs, which is fine, but this reminds me of the fact that, like, the Aura bot is coming, guys. CCP still hasn't mentioned anything about it, though, which is wild to me. Anywho, so let's go ahead and look at opportunities, and we see in all opportunities, earn LP for any corporation. Does anyone need their opportunity done for the day? Does anybody in chat need their opportunity done for the day? If you are in COE comms, X up in COE comms if you need your LP for the day. In about a minute, I'll finish this off. We want to check out the Dami? Okay, that's cool. If anybody needs their LP for the day, I'm going to invite you to the fleet before I turn in, so that way you get your LP and everything for the day, for the reward. Hey, Thrans. All right, great. We're going to form a fleet with you. Some drama on Reddit today about a fraternity leadership crashing out. Oh, yay! We all know how much I love drama. Anybody else? Maybe they'll show it off on FanFest. Hilmar will chat with Aura. Maybe, but I think that this is way, way too early. Like, we would not have seen the strings be put in if they're gonna wait that long. This is your last call. Nobody wants their LP for free? Really? Going once? Going twice? Tell you what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just do this, see what happens. Hold on. Anyone need LP for daily? I would do this in rookie chat too, but I think that's probably not acceptable. Let's see. Let me go look at the... I'm going to wait a second to see if anybody else is interested. And in the meantime, I'm going to go look at Reddit. The nice thing about missiles is, like I said, like, you know, there's definitely reasons to use the Navy missiles. I've seen plenty of fits that just use meta missile launchers. Frat leadership doesn't like influx of hordlings and doesn't believe in test defending their space. I'm assuming that that's That's the drama? Let's see. All right. Hello, all. Yesterday, Asher shared DMs with fraternity leadership person. It's highly amusing, and my favorite quotes are, I don't even give a blank about these forts, Atioth forts. It's whatever content. One of them will anchor. Doesn't even really mean anything to us. That's if we, you know, if we were at that Fortizar in Atioth that got blown up. This is clearly in reference to that. Asher being the head of the Imperium right now. And then, but I'm going to be direct and honest with you that I'm very unhappy that Wintercoat took in so many refugees from PanFam. Okay. You know that we can't fight 70% of the active players in nullsec, even in CNTZ, Chinese time zone, which is you and Init put together. So my question is that really your end goal for you and Init to rule nullsec? What do you do after that? Congrats, you've made a huge coalition happy, skilled, willing players. That is a huge accomplishment that many people will never acknowledge. And it's blank like this, and shit is generally a huge amount of hard work that most people will never see. But what you do is next, what you do next when there is no one left to fight. This is an interesting one because, like, I know that especially after the World War B2 and everything happened, like once PanFam got crippled, the question of like, well, who even fights Goonswarm then, right? Like the immediate answer was fraternity. So this makes sense to be like why there's tension here. But the idea that, is this supposed to be the fraternity guy posting that's blacked out? It's very weird to black out. Like, it's very weird to post this set of DMs and black out the names. I assume that this is a fraternity guy talking. You are the problem you wished the game didn't have. Okay, so this is a fraternity guy bitching at Asher. Because it's your opponent's obligation to ensure that the game is fair and fun for you, right? That's your angle, is how dare you win the game and be mean? Is that really the position that you want to go after the Imperium for? I mean, yes, they haven't had the slogan, we're not here to ruin the game, we're here to ruin your game, for a few years. But, like, this isn't even like, I just don't find this argument very effective. Probably not very effective. I know we don't know each other too well, but I'm going to be direct and honest with you that I'm very unhappy that Winterco took in so many refugees from PanFam. Some part of it I could live with, but I'm very unhappy with the current tripolar position Noras has put us in. It's very damaging for everyone, basically everyone in IMO. Can we wait? Are we really doing like real life racism in Eve? Is that in a weird way? I don't know. We don't like refugees. After fake resetting to kill Horde, Imperium is alive and well. 250 characters invading Fraternity, trying for Serenity version 2. Oh, and they don't blank out Asher. Asher says, I don't hold you not knowing conversations that happen above your head against you. You don't know what you don't know. But genuinely, do you think be better is persuasive technique to encourage change? Okay, well, you know, same thing, right? Well, no, Pandemic Horde was at like at least 40K when they started the process of collapsing. I know because they lost like 20K people in less than a week because like the chart was crazy. Is it, or is it just a phrase that make you feel better? What's your actual goal when you say that? Do you think someone hears "be better" and think, "Oh, that's it"? I was thinking about being worse, but now I know what to do. I was going to do the broken thing, but you just reminded me to do the right thing, so I guess I'm going to do that. Whatever. Most everyone sees themselves as a good actor. You know, solid point from Asher here, but it's very weird in particular to simultaneously be griping about the new people coming into your coalition and then also telling the enemy to be better. I'm sure I can't influence your decision making too much, but I would encourage you to try to take at least 5-minute break to take an unbiased look at the game and see where it's going. You can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. Matani's directive was to be part of the problem, be better. The Imperium's job is to win and to make the best environment for their guys. This is just nonsense. This smacks to me of like when the guy like you know, when somebody blue balls somebody else and they're like, you should have undocked even though you had like a third of the people that we did and all that sort of stuff. Like this is just an encouragement for your enemy to make a mistake. He's not looking out for the best for EVE Online or the best for Imperium for sure. He's looking to be to convince the Imperium leadership to give up some of their advantage, which is a weird thing to do. I mean, like, not weird, but just definitely not very effective. Also, I just got my final payout from the mission, so I only got about 6 million ISK in payouts, direct ISK payouts. And then it's going to be very easy to spin the Imperium is alive again within it. Propaganda here. I totally understand you guys need some content and you're doing to do stuff which is near to you to get some content and it's hard to go somewhere else. But but what is the other story here? Like, even if we want to tell our guys it's no big deal, how do we even tell our guys that? Asher says, to be clear, when we decided to kill your Keepstar and Init decides to come as well without consulting us, we should stop doing the thing that we decided to do and shoot Init because... I mean, okay, to that point, I would say that, I mean, if you show up and it shows up and you overwhelm the enemy forces, then the correct move in this scenario for the Imperium would be to finish destroying the Keepstar and then kill as many of the initiative as possible, because you don't want the initiative to defend the Keepstar, but you definitely, you know, like if you've got somebody that you want to shoot it with on grid, it might be worth taking a few pot shots. I mean, that's what third partying is all about, right? I can ping that to my whole coalition if that's your stance on your relationship to Init, and we can tell the whole game that. Is that what you want? Congrats, you made Serenity V2. If irony were electricity, you could power the city of Paris. It is true that, like, the guy, like, the people from the Chinese server saying this is the Chinese server version 2 is kind of crazy. But, like... Yeah, this is a very thinly veiled attempt to just get the Imperium to take a weaker position, which of course, if they did that, their membership would be pissed, right? If Asher gave up their advantage, then like the Imperium wouldn't like that. They're winners. They like to win. That's the whole point. The headline of the post is not representative of the contents within. I don't agree with that. I mean, I definitely see them complaining about the Hordlings. Rat guy is spitting straight fire, though not a single thing he said is wrong, and his sentiment is shared by literally everyone I know that has quit the game and was previously playing in null. This is just a Gurgoon's post, right? Is that why everybody's... Okay, so Gurgoons. Can I have your stuff as the objectively correct answer? It's no secret that both Init and Winterco would have preferred PanFam to survive and not have a 3-block situation. They only reluctantly took in the refugees. Nothing against those. I would say that overall, Init has done a really good job of, like, breaking free from the Imperium and being, like, an instigator for chaos and change in the overall EVE atmosphere, including them stepping in and helping out with the pandemic collapse. So this complaint falls very weak to me, because like I said, like, the Init has been the most independent I've ever seen them in comparison to the Imperium. So to call them out now just because they showed up to an easy Keepstar kill is not very convincing to me. It's also, it's no secret that Init and Winterco would have... Yeah, we already read that one. Does it make sense at all geographically for Imperium to attack Init right now? The current geography isn't... That's the thing, is that, like, well, what makes sense for the Imperium? If Imperium wants a good nullsec, then they would probably let things settle a little bit. But, I mean, continuing... The fraternity has been basically the Imperium's #1 threat since the end of World War B2. Maybe Serenity became a blue tone-up because the opposition was so insufferable. Okay, that's pretty funny. This was Carmen, aka Norris Light, and was leaked to Jabber yesterday. It was because Snuff and Fraternity lost a Keep Star to Goons, and it turned out up in Kiki's, Goons and friends did the heavy lifting. Carmen was upset that Goons invited Init to the Keep Star. Yeah, because you can't find out when the timers are. That's not a thing that happens, ever. And Init isn't the kind of group that would just show up to a Keep Star final timer. That's also completely unreasonable. What are you even talking about? If Dracoris Lancers were any good, Init would have been sent home quick. Unfortunately, he missed them and subsequently died. Whoops. That's a good shot, though. I mean, by that I mean the image. That's a good screenshot. There's nothing else to the story other than a crash out and a few other things, including a Valraven dying. You should have seen the Discord where he copy-pasted 1,000 lines of the same message. The man is not well. All right, well, that's too bad. LOL, Asher comes across as such a douche. Does he think he's a poet or something? He's really flexible, and I give him that because he... Okay. First of all, God, I hate sounding like I'm defending the Imperium, but, like, what do you want Asher to say in these cases? Like, I don't know, man. If you were trying to make Asher look reasonable, this is probably the best propaganda you could come up with, because, like, what are you talking about? Asher's like, I don't hold it against you, what happened before, but, like, what you just said, he's calling out what that person just said. Yeah, I would argue that this is, in my position, Asher's being damn polite in these conversations. I mean, yeah, the if irony were electricity, you could power the city of Paris is definitely like a jab, but, like, what are you even talking about? What? Have you guys ever seen the things that were posted by the old head of Bob, like from the Empires of Eve book? God, what was his name? The head of Bob. That dude had a way with words. Like, what are you talking about? The job of an alliance leadership is to be poetic and bombastic and, you know, whatever. Like, that's the game. That's the role play. What are you even doing? Wasn't it Asher that declared the drone lands an area free from the Megacorps, which only works as long as Imperium is big enough to kill any other group in the game? So you want goons to be big or not? I do not. What I'm saying is to praise CFC. Let me tell you, big red flag when you're talking about anything. Anybody who refers to the Imperium as CFC at this point is, we're going to go with biased. The Imperium haven't been known as the Clusterfuck Coalition for like a decade now. What? Like, that's literally 2 liters ago. Okay. Horde taking shots for just existing? I mean, nobody really wants them. All right. Is it? I think this is this is the post that they were talking about. And I think that we've extracted about as much as we can from this. That's it? Pretty sure that's it? Okay, good. Yeah, that's the one. All right, well, that's it. And nobody else wanted to join the fleet, so I'm gonna finish this mission. Yes. Okay, and next we are going to I really want to try out that Dominic's. I've got a few more hours, so let us open up Ash. And we'll flip over to that account, which does put me back into vulnerability for War Deck, but, you know, that could be exciting. I'm going to let that log in real quick, and then we'll switch over. Okay. Here we go. All right, so our goal is going to be to transform our Dominic's Navy issue into a sniper boat. I feel like at this point, CCP needs to make changes to soft mechanics to fix null. Goon and Frat aren't going to change it on their own. Let's build tall and not wide. Give more space for small groups. They've done these things, though, right? Like, they've made nullsec to be more tall instead of wide. They've made a lot of different changes to soft mechanics. I don't think that this is not a thing to be fixed. This is what the game looks like. These kinds of this is the game being played, right? The fact that the fraternity guy is complaining about it and trying to influence things, like that is part of the game, right? And the tension of a null group winning, quote unquote, is part of the game. You can't have this is one of those things. Josh Strife Hayes actually talks about this a lot too, where it's like, if you're going to have a full-scale PvP environment, like game, like a no-holes-barred PvP game like this, it will, by definition, or by necessity in human behavior, devolve into a, maximized controlling force that rules over everybody else, right? And I think that CCP and EVE Online does a pretty good job of dealing with that and still making the game something worth playing with, with the way things work. It's just such a weird thing to right now when nullsec is probably more diverse than it has been in a long time as far as like independent forces go. This is the game. This is the game. This is what it looks like when you play the game. This is what this kind of game looks like. All right, so let's see. I do have plenty of fitting. So let's go ahead and first and foremost remove these. And we're going to get rails, right? And we're going to go with the biggest rails that we can just to see. And I can fit them. Great. So then we take off the afterburner and the grappler. And one of the cap batteries. And we go with GigX. Oh boy. Well, GigX, I don't really know the guy very well, like before what everything that happened, but it always felt to me like what he said was just one step past acceptable, right? Like EVE Online has a lot of bluster, it has a lot of threats, it has a lot of stuff. The only thing that GigX did wrong was that his retort, his threat, was unmistakably a real life threat. So if somebody wants to take it seriously, then they could. And that's what ended up getting him in trouble, right? Do I believe that GigX legitimately was threatening to cut off the person's hands? No. I think that he was upset and just saying, you know, you could be like, I'm going to blow up all of your keeps. You could say all kinds of things while being upset. It just happened to be that what he said was in the realm of a real life threat and therefore was able to be like acted upon. And it was a lesson learned to everybody, because this is something that's always been sort of a thing within EVE Online, is like, where is the lines, right? It reminds me of things like Erotica 1 and a bunch of other stuff where it's like CCP is the curators of the sandbox. Where does that responsibility start and end? And, you know, regardless of how you feel about that action against GigX, it definitely set a standard that CCP was no longer going to be tolerating that, like the vitriol or the threats or the, you know, the stuff talked about in game bleeding over to real life, right? Like whether or not it was expected, whether or not it was quote unquote the right thing to do given the parameters, it definitely set it set a standard for what behavior is absolutely not acceptable in EVE Online. Yeah, I mean, Nico says it was like, I personally think it was an overreaction by CCP based on his comments, especially given just the sort of stuff I've seen talked about in EVE, or the kind of things that people say in EVE when they're talking shit. But the point is that CCP did continually kind of have these problems where people push the envelope of acceptability in a sandbox where you feel like, oh, well, anything goes. And CCP said, no, actually, there are very firm limits, and you better figure out how to avoid those tripwires, because then, you know, again, this is the game, right? So if you step out of line and you break a rule and your opponent finds out about it, they're going to push that and try to get you banned or whatever, right? Because that's just another tactic of the game in a weird way. So yeah, it's rough. All right, so here I want, what do I want? I want an omnidirectional tracking link, right? And a micro jump drive. And is it a second optimal tracking computer? Or, yeah, omnidirectional tracking link. Is that the correct answer? Let's go look at some fits. Target painter? Really? Target painter? I don't know about that. Hold on. Let's look at Dominic's Navy issue. Level 4, Dominic's Navy issue, rails, micro jump drive, afterburner. Oh, they do have an afterburner. Wait, no, they don't. They do have double. Oh, yeah, they do. They have an afterburner, double tracking computers. And they actually went with mag stabs. That's crazy. Okay. And a multi-spectrum. All right. So, do I really care about the afterburner, though? I mean, if anything, we saw that if we have a micro jump drive, it's pretty much just fine to... Oh, that's fair. They have a normal tracking computer and an omnidirectional. I think that that's actually a really good idea. Let's check that out. So, tracking computer. And let's head to Arydanika while we're doing this. I kind of also want to take one of the hardeners off for the mag stab. How much damage does this do? Can't do null and void anymore. So we go with Spike, 998, 978, 1213 with a fall off of 50. $1,155 DPS. So this is going to be about the same as the best version of the Raven. Probably the Raven Navy issue would have done better, but it's going to be a little bit more tank, and definitely, well, no, because damage selection is going to be able to be done in the Raven as well. I think this is it. Although I'm probably going to want... I want the curators only. I think I'm going to want... I want to say I want guards too. Although, without the additional range to the guards, I think... by the time they get close enough for guards, it might be too late. Let's, I wonder if I can just... Can I just fit the ship here? Let's see. I'm gonna pay way too much for the railguns. Alright, alright, I'm gonna be right back, guys. I need to go pee, and then we'll figure out what... Let us head back to Dodixie and grab some change out of stuff. Oh, nope, I don't want to go in this ship. Let's take LimeWire. Oops, I should not have closed that. I should not have closed that. Damn it. Oh, no, I didn't. Ha-ha! I need this. This set of stuff is what I need to buy when I get there. So hopefully I don't accidentally close this window. We'll head back to Dodixie really quick. We're going to grab this stuff. We'll come back, load it up, and see how it goes. These ships are so cool looking. Let's see. What is my alignment time without the microwarp drive? Hold on. Without the microwarp drive, my alignment is 18 seconds. So yeah, using the microwarp drive is definitely good. Even though the microwarp drive cloak trick does not necessarily work with this ship as it is. As we found out yesterday, you would need to overheat the microwarp drive in order for it to work. Which of course you can, but, you know, it makes it less consistent. What do I got here? Oh yeah, I got the Hulk Dreamcast skin. All right. What's Rookie Chat up to? Once you find what you enjoy, it comes naturally. Then you don't even think of how much I'm making per hour. There you go. That's good stuff. Let's see. All right, I think that is just distracting. Let's see, what else is there? Is there anything else to look at while we're here? Eve, r/Eve. Don't really see anything too cool there to worth talking about. Is there anything in the news? There was a patch today, but it was all Chinese localization stuff, so nothing really to talk about. It wasn't even on HoboLeaks, which was really weird. Nothing on Universe Portal. Anything cool in the forums worth talking about? Oh, somebody talking about the mining crumbling audio. That is very loud. We should be allowed to adjust the audio of the mining crumble sound, attach it to turret effects volume or ship effect volume. Yep, I can agree with that one. Don't see... Oh, there's somebody also complaining about it in the gameplays, in the industry section. So... Did you ever do anything with the Holy Blood Raider text that they put out for Crimson Harvest? What? Wait, what? Did I miss something? Oh, God. Yeah, there have been people that are complaining about EVE Online advertising on Facebook or Twitter. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, they're a company. They're going to use social media. This is what you do. What do you... Whatever. Ain't nobody quitting because they posted to Facebook. Come on now. But what is Always Lemons talking about? There's Blood Raider texts that they put out for Crimson Harvest? I don't know that one. They did just change the regional market stuff, so now it has it all divided. So we can go to Crimson Harvest assets. The new lore article. Oh! Santa Canonical Scriptures. Yeah, you're right. We haven't actually looked at those yet. We could. That's a good point. Like, they added the stuff to the universe portal. They updated they added an article, Sani Canonical Scriptures. Make sure I don't have any war targets. Okay, good. So this says, they've got this really cool picture, and then it says, since the early days of the Sani Sabek during the reclaiming, they have canonized scriptures that the mainstream Amarian faith rejected. In the centuries that followed their sect being outlawed on Amar, new texts have been written, and the two religions have further diverged. Altogether, these selected works make up the Sani Canonical Scripture. So this is actually kind of funny, because this is somewhat of a reference to actual religious like conflict, I don't know how else to put it, but like, so the Protestant Bible, or rather the Catholic Bible, has certain books in it that the Protestant Bible does not. These are almost, if I remember correctly, these are almost exclusively, if not exclusively, Old Testament books. And so, like, in the earliest days, they were trying to decide which books were the canon and which weren't. And there are certain books that more defend Catholic ideas about things, like, for instance, the idea of limbo, you know, and purgatory, rather. And so those books there are accepted, like First and Second Maccabees, I think are one of the examples. But either way, the point is that Catholicism maintains these books as canonical. Protestant traditions generally don't. And so those books are literally called the Deuterocanonical scriptures. So this is kind of a play on that, right? Where their religious doctrines have divided. They call them Sani-canonical scriptures, or, you know, the Sanisabic canon scriptures. The original documents are preserved along with a centralized digital archive of Sani-canonical texts inside of a sprawling Sabic canopolis in KFIE TAC Z2. That could be a fun one to go to. Or, oh, somebody's messaging me. That is... Okay, yeah, there's the Blood Raiders logistics support and Blood Raiders assembly plant. So this would be in Delve, right? Yeah. Okay. And then it says, this archive is maintained by some of the Red God's most honored priests, charged with preserving the texts that sit at the heart of the faith. These same texts are the basis for the infamous rituals of the Blood Raider Covenant. A scant few of the most significant passages have been replaced here, reproduced here. This is a lot of stuff, though. Yeah, this feels like something that we could dig into and, like, work on, but it also feels like a very different thing than what we're doing today. So I'll probably put this on my list of things that we should cover, along with... I actually just noticed that I haven't done my top 10 tips for new players. We'll still have to do that. But in the meantime, we are in Dodixie, so let's get to work. Can I just go like this and change this to this one and then buy them? Oh my god, that works! That's actually kind of cool. All right, in that case, we're going to buy. Wow, that actually worked. And now I don't remember what they all were. Well, I mean, it should be probably kind of obvious. Let's find out. There's the omnidirectional. There's the tracking. There's the large micro. There's the mag stab. We're going to drag those all in there first. And then, what is this? Fireworks crate. There's the rails. Is there anything else? Is there anything else I got that I needed to... Shit. Hold on. I think that's all of it, right? None of this looks like it would be going with that. So we also need ammo. So we're going to grab Spike. Oh, shoot. We'll grab all 500 rounds at this price point. And then we will grab this 4,002. And then Javelin. Wait. Did I? I did grab Javelin, but not Spike. Got it. Moment of Madness, Spike, view market details, 1326 plus 3,000 is that. Okay, so now, and then of course I'm going to want to grab the drones. Wait, I have drones. Did I have, did I put in new drones? Let's go ahead and just grab Ogre 2s, because we we lost a few of those. And we'll grab guards. My price is not fucking sorted correctly. I've been paying too much for shit. That's funny. Whatever. Oh well. So, I'm just going to grab these wasps too. And the Praetor just in case. And here's some Republic Fleet bouncers. You can just grab pretty much all of the drones I have, I suppose. That might be everything I need. I think that's everything I need. Let's find out. Let's just double check one more time. Let's look at my thing. I definitely need the guns, the ammo, the micro jump drive. I think that's good. Let's go. Let's go back to Arydanika. I have too many things in too many systems. Yes. Okay, great. Sorry, I missed the earlier moments for the dog. Be like, what are you looking at? Yeah. All right. I'm pretty sure we just head back now. I will say this. I cannot wait for the Blood Raiders and Sancha in particular, but really the Blood Raiders in particular, like really in particular. It feels like, well, the Blood Raiders have been sort of on the periphery and kind of involved in a lot of this sort of stuff that's been going on, especially when it comes to the Deathglow stuff and the Deathglow Raiders and stuff. Like, that's kind of their modern incarnation of things that they do. They have connections. Like, so when I was digging into like the Yantey election stuff, one of the things I realized a lot more was how much like the Blood Raiders, Intaki, and the Serpentis were all enmeshed together. Because, like, the Serpentis had been, the Serpentis has a lot of evidence of them working with and gaining finances from and using the Intaki facilities for stuff. No, this is a torrent. With the Intaki. So, like, the Anibra death cult and the other death cults within the Intaki have received a lot of help and have been clearly working in coordination with the Serpentis for a while now. Even when they finally, like, kind of took over Intaki, the big thing that they did was they found a bunch of, like, secret Serpentis drug areas. And so there's this interesting connection between the Intaki and even the Intaki Syndicate, as well as with the Serpentis. But then also, you have the connections with the Deathglow Raiders, right? Which are the Blood Raiders, or the Deathglow Hunters. And of course, Deathglow, being a drug, would be connected to the Serpentis as well. So I feel like there's a little like network there in the same way that now the Deathless has made the network between the Garistas and the Angels and the Thucker. But it'll be interesting to see, like, I feel like the Blood Raiders should have a pretty big interest in what's happening with Upwell and the Deathless, because of their interest in biology and cloning and clones and blank clones. And, like, I mean, the hollow clone system happened during the Crimson Harvest, so the Blood Raiders obviously showed a lot of interest in that. So it'll be weird to, it'll be not weird, but it'll be fun to see if the Blood Raiders, like, kind of gain their own angle in all of this. And then, of course, the Sancha has basically done a great job of being the bit character in everyone else's story for the last 10 years, almost 15, basically since Incursions, right? Like, Sancha hasn't been like a major character in any plot in the last 10, 15 years, but they've always been there, right? Like when the Shattered Wormholes happen, oh, look, that's where the Sancha is. You know, Sancha's, you've got the Vimoksha Chorus, you've got the different raids going on. Like, no matter what's going on, it feels like Sancha is around, but hasn't really done anything in a while. So, both of these characters, both of those players, or, you know, those groups, could very much have an interest in things like cloning and the technology in particular that both Upwell and the Deathless are experimenting with. So, especially since that you now actually do have that outright call out that Evermore was using the Winter Harvest, or the Winter Festival rather, as an opportunity to get their hands on a bunch of Sancha tech. So Sancha's doing something with their White Storm fleet. As we talked about during the winter event, because the winter event is often happening when CCP is kind of out of the office, there isn't actually all that much lore when it comes to the White Storm fleet and the Sancha and stuff, except for the fact that they obviously do have the capacity to lock on to those storms and participate in them, because that's why the Sancha is the main villain during that time. But, like, where that goes hasn't really gone anywhere for a while. And Sancha's really interesting because they're very much the rogue agent, right? Like, each empire has their own pirate group. Sancha's the pirate group for all of them, right? Like, they're the one that originally the four empires actually teamed up to defeat Sancha back in like YC 35, so almost 110 years ago, or sorry, 90 years ago. I can do math. Whereas like the Serpentis or the Galente, the Garistas or the Caldari, so on and so forth. The Sancha is like designed to be the pirate for everybody. Although Sancha, I feel like Sancha's story is very much like the mysteries around Sancha, the questions that need to be asked and answered around Sancha are very much tied into, if not the Deathless and the Vanguard, very much tied into the Drifters, right? In fact, the fact that Sancha didn't show up at all during the Drifter crisis is kind of almost concerning. You know, they're the ones with the wormhole generator. And the question that I have always had is that, like, so Master Kuvaki shows up kind of out of nowhere in 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there. No. Yeah, it would be after. I think Master Kuvaki shows up after Apocrypha. And there's a lot of weird stuff involving Sancha, especially during the Incursion live events. So Sancha does have a portal generator. He also, like I said, when the explosion happened, when Caroline Star happened, several of the shattered systems that we got access to, at least 2 of them, I think, are occupied by Sancha forces, not normal, not just the sleeper or, you know, whatever forces that you would expect, right? And so the idea was is that the Sancha forces were here for a while now. In fact, they got blown up. A lot of them got blown up by the explosion of Caroline Star. What's up, Camlo? So, like, my big question is, at some point, Sancha ran into the other, either as the drifter or by connecting to the construct or something. At some point, Sancha contacted, or, you know, made contact with the other. Has to have at some point. Sancha loves to corrupt and seize control over everything, including, especially things like artificial intelligence or, you know, electronic stuff that he can, like, hack into. And of course, the other is incredibly virulent and also really good at, like, consuming things as an infection, like a digital infection. So, like, I can't imagine that Sancha existed in the wormholes for that amount of time and either didn't ever run into the other, or, you know, nothing came of that. And so there's a cool, unique data relic site that spawns in the Sancha wormhole called the Silent Battleground. That's kind of neat. Yeah, that's true. So there's a lot of hints that there's something going on there. And one of the theories, I think it's even in my tinfoil suit theory, is that, like, Sancha Kuvaki, Master Kuvaki as we know him now, could very well be influenced by the other, could very well be taken over by the other. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there are things to do with the Sancha group, but they, more than any of the other base empire or pirate groups, are probably very much tied to the the drifter stuff, which makes it very much tied to Vanguard at some point, right? And to the point where the Sancha was actually originally the main villain of the shooter back when it was back when it was Nova, right? So I feel like Sancha's there's a spot for Sancha there, but it's almost like they've kept it out of, like, kept them out of the limelight on purpose. Okay, let's see. What happened to my fit? I bet you it was when I hit the fit thing. It stripped off everything that wasn't part of the new fit. Maybe. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Tracking computer, micro jump drive, mag stab, all those go in. And so do the rails. And we've got some... Let's see, what's our drone bay look like? Let's take these out for now. And we can put in our guards. There they are. Guards and an ogre. Whatever, that should do it for now. And then Null and Void can go out. I didn't grab scripts. Oh well. It's not that big of a deal with scripts in this case. Spike and Javelin. Okay. So now I can go... So Spike, again, with long-range ammo, it's kind of interesting because the short-range ammo for long-range guns actually increase your tracking speed. So 1.63 tracking with Javelin, 0.33 with Spike. So Spike is my high damage long range, or high damage... Sure. High damage long range, and then Javelin is my better tracking short range So this is very long range. So 117 versus Jav, which is 43, 16 to 43. Okay. Let's grab a mission. Is this right? Yeah. Angels and Shrew. That's right. I didn't want to take this mission. I don't care. We're going to do it. Although the 10 militants is really going to be a pain in the ass. I'm going to need to shoot. Okay, hold on. I have a targeting range of 105. So my goal is going to be to snipe the hauling ship when they're 100 kilometers off. So that way I can micro jump drive to them and grab them afterwards. Otherwise, it should be fine. Let's give it a shot. These are going to be angels, so they're predominantly explosive damage. So we're going to grab this armor hardener and put on an explosive instead. I feel like this is going to be good. Let's try it. And once again, like Asclepions could be good, but also again, with this setup, I'm not planning on taking a bunch of damage. What's my implants look like? Nothing. Great. All right, let's go. Christmas Adventures Club. What is even happening? All right. Did I not accept the mission? Wait, I thought I accepted the mission. I also probably should repair my stuff. Okay. Get repair quote. Repair all. Okay. I did accept the mission. That's weird. It didn't... you can't really see it. Hold on. What's confusing me is I don't have a little mission thing over here. Oh, I guess I need to hit track. For some reason, it didn't automatically track it. And I also need to change my peld over. So that way it's tracking Ash instead of Invictus. I just realized something. I bet if I go here, if I find the militants, find in personal assets. Dang it. I don't have any here. I bet you I could find them on market. Can you find them on market? No, there's no market for them? Wait, you can't? Huh. I didn't realize that militants weren't on the market. If I had extra militants, I'd be able to just, like, turn it in. Do I want Spike or Javelin? Hold on. Do I want Spike or Javelin? Spike is way too far, so I want Javelin. I always get confused, because Javelin feels like it should be the long-range one, just by its name, but it's not. Check contract. I mean, yeah, I could check contracts, but I just feel it's just kind of funny that it's not on the market. I usually keep extra I bet you if I looked into all of my ships, that's here, I'll find some militants. All right, we're going to turn everything on. And then we're also going to move these two into here. We're going to move these into a guard group. And then we're going to go in. Maybe I should start with Spike. Let's start with Spike. Oh boy. Yeah, okay, never mind. This is one of those ones with a bunch of acceleration gates. But that's 30 away. So we're going to go up. I was kind of right to choose Spike first. Right? Yeah, Spike. I can start shooting. What? I'm still missing from that range? How's that? Yikes. Man, I hate sentry. I hate, oh shoot, I need to be, no, fuck. Okay, let's just go with sentries. That's actually kind of wild that, like, I can't hit them at all. Oh, and I can't, my drone control range is still only 60. Oh, this definitely has some issues. I'm going to need to get a drone. If I need a drone control augmenter, that gives up a turret too, which sucks. This guy's almost at 60. We'll kill him and then we'll pull the drones in and make a jump probably. Well, at least they're working. Oh yeah, the drones are hitting just fine. All right, well, let's go ahead and pull in our drones and go like this way. And then micro jump drive. I think it would probably be worth it to just drop a turret for the extra drone drone link augmenter. I need to shoot that group so that way they can start heading this way. I'm definitely going to want a drone link augmenter if I want to do this long term. I'm trying to get these frigates mostly. I can stop moving away because I'm probably going to get pretty close to the acceleration gate as it is. And I can drop my sentries here and then start using that on the guys as they get close. And then these other frigates that are really far away, I can kind of lock those and peg them while they're still a far ways off. That's my current plan. And shoot. Oh wait, no, that's not a frigate. That is. Boom. Yeah, okay. So I can pop the frigate still in one shot, which is good. I am having to wait a little bit for these guys to get in range, but that's kind of just a consequence of the mission itself, not the setup. I do want to grab like these longer range guys, because the longest range guys I can use my turrets on very effectively, and then the ones that are close to 60, those are the ones that are going to be my priority for my drones. This is definitely a lot smoother than yesterday, as far as like not losing my drones or anything. And then also, I am cap stable, right? Yeah, I am cap stable, so I don't really need to worry about that too much. Now these guys are getting close enough for fucking guards, almost. Almost. All right, now we're kind of getting into a rhythm of things, right? Because, like, hold on. Actually, how far is our guards? Our guards go 21 or 22. Okay, well. That means I can pull these in. Put these out. And shoot at this guy? Is that going to work? Can my guards hit? My guards can hit. Excellent. And then I can move on to this battleship at 25, because that's still going to be close enough to being in range. Probably. Yep. Great. And I can switch this over to Javelin now, because there's a lot of targets within 50. I mean, we have that one still at 67, but we're fine. And then we can just peg this guy. Right? I am missing. Oh no, I hit. I mean, I'm having difficulty hitting at that close range, even with this ammo, because hybrid or rails are so hard to hit things with. It is a bug. The last 2 days, the track doesn't automatically display. Wait, what? Hold on. What? Oh, the tracking. Okay, yeah. Like the tracking of the site. Yesterday it was working fine. Today it worked fine. It was just this particular mission. I don't know. Maybe. So this feels like it's doing pretty good. I mean, I feel like I'm getting... Yeah, I'm getting a good amount. 600 applied DPS in relative safety is pretty good. I'm okay with that. I mean, that's obviously my max that I've gotten. But overall, I think it's pretty decent. Let's actually see what happens. If I shoot with this guy, where does my DPS go? 105. That's 2 shots. Let's go with 1 more shot. 123. And then if I reload to Spike, which is further range, so I'm now not in my fall off, but it's lower damage. Let's see what it does. 103. Okay, that feels like it's going to be more. Yep, 157. So there you go. So it's better to use the long range ammo at that point. And then we'll just go with Curators too. Oh shoot, actually no, we're going to pull in my sentries and jump towards the gate. So that way we can start cooling off our timer again. Contracted. Is this militants? I swear to God. Okay. Thank you. But unfortunately, most people are not going to have somebody like this to bring something to them. So I am going to accept it. But I'm also going to try to get it done, quote unquote, correctly. Okay, so now they're extremely long range again. But I am using my long range ammo, so that still helps and works. So I'll just be right here. And again, like, so a big piece of this fit, a big piece of the ship is about kind of versatility and flexibility, and also, to a lesser extent, AFK-ness, because like the drones can kind of control themselves to a certain extent, although I'm being a little bit more manual about it. But as you can see, like when they're far away, I have answers. When they're close, I have answers. There are probably missions that are a lot spookier than this one, but still. Feel like that was a pretty good room. I should have checked. 48. So that was a 3-minute room? Is that true? $48. No. An 11-minute room? Is that true? That might be true. Okay, so here we want to get the transport ship when it's at 100. So let's go. Let's go this way. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. God damn it. Am I going to be able to hit this at all? Yes. Hell yeah. Not by much, though. All right. Well, let's go like this. Oh, yeah, I can't because it's not 60. Shit. I'm about ready to jump. Although I'm kind of tempted to not jump. I'm still going to, though, just to check. There's the transport. No, that's the hijacker. Where's the transport? There's the transport. Great, we're going to jump. Boom. 121 for the transport ship. That's better. I'm going to lose lock on it, though, because it's so far away. That's okay, because it's going to get within range, and when it does, I'm just going to peg it at 100, and then it'll be done. And then everything else is going to come in closer as time goes on, and I'm just going to peg them all as they come in. Again, I think that of all of the stuff, I think a drone link augmenter Man, I'm using my turrets a lot. A drone link augmenter will make it so I'd be able to use my drones instead of my turrets more. But obviously, when I do use my turrets, they'll be less effective. There's the personnel carriers. I don't know what's happening. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I might be back. Wow. Okay, that was spooky. Am I back? My entire computer just stopped for a second. Where's the transportation? Wait. There they are. Are we good? Okay, we're good. Hello? Emergency change of parameters. Now, okay, let me turn this up a little bit. I'm on my backup mic, my headset mic. I have no idea what's going on with my computer at the moment. Shit. we're gonna try to finish this site off. Boy, am I nervous. But I mean, like, I'm not that nervous because overall the site itself is not going to be too spooky. But if anything goes wrong, I don't know. We did manage to kill the personnel transports at the right time, though. So we are technically still on track. Yes, you can hear my audio again because I switched to my headset. For some reason, my mic is not, like, whatever happened knocked out my main microphone. This thing. So I guess I'm just get it out of the way. Finish off everything else. Sorry if this is a little quiet. Let me see if I can change. That gun. Oh boy, that's a lot louder. All right. All right. All right. Tell me if this is good, guys. Tell me if this is going to work for you guys. Ugh. Exhausting. And it locked up again. Oh, it's clinging. It's hanging in there. What is going on? There was a big CPU spike when that. Yeah, it pegged my CPU when that happened. I wonder what's happening. It's the other. Yeah, no kidding. I spoke about him too much. Sancha.
What have you missed today? We just did a Raven, like a standard Raven, and that inspired us to go back to our Dominic's Navy fit and redo it as a sniper fit. Kind of like emergency check to see if there's anything I can get rid of. Wait, what? I had the problem start today. Are you talking about the tracking? How can I access fits? That's a good question. I could put up these fits. We're still kind of experimenting with them though, but I can definitely put the fit up on the screen. That okay. So now everything's getting kind of close, so let's go ahead and pull these in and grab the guards. Got my repper. I should have also switched to short range ammo. Get. Now the question is, can I actually apply to these guys when they're close? And the answer is no. Okay, well, in that case, yeah, my DPS is so low with them this close. All right, let's go ahead and pull in our drones.